This is my screen. So this is it. SQL Developer is on your laptop. You have missed the first two classes, so you will have known how we got there. So it's on your laptop, SQL Developer.
Yes, I know.
Okay, you launch it. I'm launching mine now. So when you open yours, this is how it's going to open. You will see the two schemas, HR schema and Scott schema. So I want to open the HR schema. That is one we are using. So when you open the HR schema, this is what you see on the your left-hand side.
Yes.
These schemas. So I click on the tables. I expand that tables. You are seeing it, right? Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I expanded the tables, and then I'm having how many tables? Countries, departments, employees, job history, jobs, location, region. Okay, so I click on employees. That is the table we are trying to access. So when I click on the employees, it brought out this. So there are tabs here, columns, data, constraint, grant, statistics, triggers. So I click on the data. I click on data and it brought this out. So can you see how we got to this place initially?
Yes, I know it's wrong.
Okay. All right. So now I was able to navigate my way to the employee table using the schema. But what we are about to learn is how to use the language to access that table without going through this schema. So I use the schema to get to the table, and then I open inside the table to see the data there. So what I'm explaining is that this is a completely different world entirely, like ours, like our world, right? And you must understand that the entities inside are like beings, they are like human beings. So you connecting to that world, you are now like their president, their governor, right?
Yeah.
Now you are going to use each one of them to carry out activities. That is how it is. They have names. You are going to call their names and they will respond to you. So in the last two lectures, I have explained how the tables are created. Now, what I just want to show you now is going into the language itself. Just like the English language that we have, we are going to learn the language to communicate with the database, to pull out information from the database, to insert data into the database. That is what the language is all about. So we are the one controlling this world now. So see yourself as the God of this world that is entering into this world. You are going to control all the people that are living there to carry out your will, to carry out the things that you want. That is how it is. It is just like our world. The same way you and I we are interacting, you are going to see them interact that way. And that is how you should view them. Let me quickly explain to you some of the languages that we are going to use to communicate with the database. And these statements are categorized into groups. So one of such group is data definition language. Under this, we have create, alter, drop, rename, truncate, comment. Then we also have the data manipulation language, which is select, insert, update, delete, and merge. We have the data control language, which is to grant and revoke rights. So you can grant giving somebody administrator, making somebody the president, the governor, like that. What gives access? Now we have the transaction control language, which is to commit whatever transaction you have done, to roll back and save point. So these are the languages you are going to be using to input data into the database and then to pull data out from the database. And we can also use it to control the data structure. Data structure is like the house where the data are going to stay. So if you have finished building a house, you want to restructure it, what language are you going to use? That is what I've shown to you. Okay, so this is the table that we are dealing with. We are going to use other tables too, but now we are using the schema to navigate our way into the table. But what we want to learn now is the language that you can actually use to create this table, input this data, insert this data into the table, and then call whatever data you want, or whatever information that you want. You pull it out from the table. Now, what statement are you going to use to achieve that? Now, those statements are, you consider them to be beings that you are sending on an errand, and then they will go ahead and carry out the job for you. These are the statements that you are going to be using. We have the data definition language, which is used in creating the data structure, the object of the database. So we have create, we have alter, we have drop, we have rename, truncate, comment. Then we have the data manipulation language, which is select, insert, update, delete, merge. We are going to be using some of these today. Then we have data control language, which is grant and to revoke. That is giving access, granting access to whoever it is that is going to use the system, the user that will use the system, so that the the server will be able to recognize who is giving the instruction, if at all it should carry it out or not. Then we'll look at the transaction control language. This is commit, rollback, save point. Just like when you go to the ATM to withdraw money. Are you with me, sir?
Yeah.
So when you go to the ATM to withdraw money and you press withdrawal and you press your amount, there is a commit process before that money is given to you. And immediately you see an alert on your phone. That means the transaction is complete. Now, if the transaction is not complete, money is not given to you. If money was mistakenly removed from your account, then it will roll back, meaning it will return the money back. So that is actually what usually happens. We are going to use the select in a complete syntax, and then you will see how it works. So we'll come back to the database. We are looking at the database management system, giving us data through the schema process that we went through. But now we are coming back to writing the program ourselves. So we are going to use that select statement to write. Now, every time you want to give an instruction, there has to be a source. So you can say select, or you can say select like this. It doesn't matter, it's going to accept it. So it's not case sensitive. So I'm going to use small letter. Now, when you say select star from, you see, is telling me select star from. Now, select is a clause. It's not a complete full statement. It's not a complete sentence. From is also another keyword. So select star from, as soon as I put the from, it's showing me all the tables that we have. Then I can pick any of the table, right? Now, if, for example, the first thing you do, you don't know how many tables, like now we use the schema to be able to know how many tables we have in the HR schema. Now, in case you don't know, you don't have that, you just want to write the script, there is a language that you will use to find out how many tables are in a particular schema. So to do that, you will say select table name. right? If you look at this, if I click, now look at what it has done. I'm saying, show me, go to user tables. So I know this, go to user tables and show me all the table that you have. And I'm in the HR schema. So you will go there and it will tell me that I have regions, locations, countries, job history, department, employees, and job. The same tables that we have on this side, on the left-hand side, when we came through the schema process. Are you with me, sir?
Yes.
So these are some of the things that you need to know. Now, this is a complete syntax. So I'm giving an instruction. I told this select, go to this table and bring out all the rows that are there. Show me all the table. Now, in writing this program, you don't write it like this. You don't say, it's one word. You can see that when I put table name, it's not accepting it. So it is one word. Table name is one word. And when you want to illustrate one word, you are not going to type it together like this. You have to put underscore. Can you see that? When you are trying to type two words together, that is one word, you use underscore to join them together. You don't put dash or you don't separate them without putting underscore. It will consider it to be a keyword. And keywords are the one that is changing the color. Anytime you type something and the color is this color, it's telling you that that is a keyword. Are you with me, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so I gave an instruction saying, go to these user tables and then tell me how many tables you have in this schema, in this HR schema. And he gave me. And you can see that they are the same table with what we have here. Now, I want to see, now, I am beginning to, if I click on, so I'll be switching. Now, in this employee table, I have employee ID. If I click on these columns, if I click on column tab, it's showing me employee ID, first name, last name, email, phone number. These are the columns of that particular table. Now, how do I see this information if I'm to write a query? How do I see this? If I come back here, now I know that I have region, locations, countries, job history, department. I want to see what are the things that are in this employee table. What we saw here, all this information, I want to see it using the command. So I will just say describe. Now, this is a keyword. So these are keywords. These are keywords that you are looking at. So I'm saying describe. So I'm just going to tell it, describe employees. Now it's showing me all the columns that the employee has. You come here, let's go to the beginning. First, if you look down, it's telling me that employee has 11 columns. That is what it's showing, 11 rows. So I scroll up to see them. Look at it. It's giving me that describe, the name, employee ID, first name, last name, email, phone number. That is the same thing that you are seeing here. When you click on data, you are seeing employee ID, first name, last name, email, phone number, like that, up to department ID. That is what you have here, employee ID, first name, last name, email, phone number, hire date. That's what you have. So how did we get this? That is the language that I have written here. First, I use this one to know how many tables are in the schema, and it gave me this. I'm using this one to see the inside. What is the structure? How is the employee table like? I want to see it. So when I click on this, when I type that and I click this, it brought this out for me. So it's showing me this, that this is what I have. Now, I have explained this data type for you. So it's telling me that the employee ID, the only thing that employee ID, that column, what it accepts are only numbers. You can't bring in characters into it. You can't bring in date into it. Only numbers can come in. And these numbers must not be more than 6 digits. This voucher first name is telling me that I can bring in only characters, and those characters must not be more than 20 characters. So I cannot have a name that has more than 20 characters in the first name. Now, not null. Look at this column, not null. What this means is that there is no way I am bringing in a row and I would not have employee ID. Anytime I'm going to insert a row into this table, the employee ID cannot be null, cannot be empty, cannot be unknown. There must always be a number that will come with the employee ID, with the employee. So, and that is employee ID. That is what this not null is telling me. So you can see that this first name does not have anything there. So what he's saying is that it is possible for a particular row, for a particular employee not to have first name. That is what this is saying. That it is possible for an employee not to have first name. Last name is not null, meaning if an employee does not have first name, that employee must have last name. That is what this is telling me. So he's making it mandatory that I cannot insert an employee that would not have last name. He's also telling me that every employee that I insert must have an email. While phone number is empty, there's nothing there. So he's saying you can insert an employee without phone number. Hire date, not null. You must always tell us when that employee was employed into the company. There must be a date. You cannot have an employee coming into the company without the date of employment. Then job ID is also saying that an employee must have a job ID. Who is the employee? Is he an IT person or is he an accountant? We must know. And it is also character, variable character. So what this means is that why it is called VACHA2, variable character, there is character and then there is variable character. Why it is called variable character is that the maximum is telling you that the maximum character for the job ID is 10. But if the job ID is less than 10, no problem. The maximum is 10. If it is less than 10, it will accommodate it. Then salary. Salary is also number. That is what this is saying. Now I have seen, through this first one, I was able to identify how many tables that we have in the system, this command. Now, through this command again, I am able to describe the employee table. If I want to see the columns that are in the jobs table, because with this one, when I click on this one, I will see regions, locations. So I want to know what are the columns of regions. I will say describe regions. I will have to type it the way it is, regions. So I will click here. See, it's telling me that I have, for region, I have only 2 rows. Now, every time I bring out a query, is just putting it down, 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 down. So for region, this describe region is telling me that I have just 2 rows, region ID, just 2 columns, that I have region ID and region name. Now, if I click on regions here, you will see it. See, this is telling me that I have region ID and region name. So if I click on data, okay, so you can see that we have only two columns, region ID and region name, just those 2 columns. So you can see in the described region, it's telling me I have region ID and region name. That is it. If I want to see how many columns I have in department, I will just remove that region and type department there. So you can see that describe is, I have to put S. Describe is somebody that you ask to go and find out how many columns you have in this department. So you click here, it's telling you that you have 4. You have four rows selected. So you have department ID, you have department name, you have manager ID, you have location ID, and it's also telling you their data type. Department ID is number, so and the number must not be more than 4 digits. Department name is variable character 2, meaning the character must not be more than 30 characters. But because it is virtual, it's variable, that's why it's called variable, meaning it can change. Variable character. So it must not be more than 30 characters. Manager ID is numbers, so you cannot have more than 6 digits. Location ID is number too. You cannot have more than 4 digits. Now, it's telling you not null and not null for department ID and department name, meaning that every time you insert a department, there must always be an ID to that department, and that department must always have a name. So it is not mandatory for that department to have a manager, and it is not mandatory for you to input the location of that department. But two compulsory things that you must have is department ID and department name. So that is what this is telling us. So select table name, table underscore name from user underscore tables. But you read it as select table name from user tables.